A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. When the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question to test him. "Teacher, what commandment is in the law is the greatest?" He said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." Here we have Jesus being challenged by some sort of authority. And we have this passage in Mark and in Luke as well, although it has different emphasis in those Gospels. And I encourage you to take a look at those. If you can find yourself a parallel, gospel parallel book, it's really interesting sometimes to compare stories and consider what one author might include versus another. And here we have some specific language that makes this story uniquely Matthew. So Jesus says to this lawyer that the Shema out of Deuteronomy, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and is what we call the Shema. And Jewish communities say that prayer many times throughout the day. It was a very well-known prayer. So Jesus has set that as the greatest commandment, but he's also elevated, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, as almost equal to that. And following that, there's a statement that says, these are the two commandments in which all else hangs. And in that is the Greek is alluding to actually a Hebrew word called talah. And talah is this image of a great mass being held by two strings or two hairs. And so Jesus is saying, love the Lord your God with all that you are, and love your neighbor as yourself. And that those two commandments are the things which uphold everything else that there is to be a Christian, to be a follower of Christ, to be a good person. That everything else usually alludes to all the different commandments that are in the Old Testament, of which there's almost 500 between positive ones, you shall, or negative ones, you shall not. But it's these two that hold everything else in balance. So for us as modern day followers of Jesus, it is our job to ensure that these two ropes or these two hairs that hold everything else about who we are in balance. Do we love God with all our mind and our heart and our soul? And do we love our neighbor as ourselves? So today, I hope you do some inventory to ensure that those two ropes are in balance for you. And if not, everything else might be at risk. But if we can, together through prayer, through practice, through worship, we can bring that back into balance. Amen.